Okay, so we have two shlokas today. Shloka Bhagavad-gītā, Shloka 3.25. This is part of the chapter Karma Yoga. Shakta karmani avidvamsho yatha kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvams tatha shak kuryad vidvams tatha saktash chikirshur loka sangraham. Translation: as the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path. Prabhu, can you share the next shloka also? Thank you. Okay. 3.26. Na buddhi vedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidwan yukta samacharan. Translation: so as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. So, this is part of the Karma Yoga chapter, and this is discussion between Arjuna asking questions to Lord Krishna, and he's giving guidance, he's answering the questions. So in these two shlokas, Lord Krishna is instructing, he's saying that in the previous shlokas also we understood that work has to be done, activities have to be performed, and here it is mentioned that ignorant, so that's set of people who are ignorant, they will perform the duties, but they are performing their duties with attachment to the results, whereas the learned will also perform work, but they will be performing work without attachment. And the reason Lord gives is that the learned will do so for the sake of leading others onto the right path. And in the next local, Lord tells that why like that, why it is like that, because Lord suggests that not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men who are attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties. So learned would be guiding them or inducing them to continue to work, not to stop work. But he will be instructing them in the spirit of devotion and thus engage them in activities and slowly guide them to on the path of Krishna consciousness. So that is their development path. So everybody needs to be guided onto the path of Krishna consciousness, but the methodology mentioned is that work has to be done, ignorance. So there are learned and two classes of people. So we'll look into detail how it is so. So there are two classes of men. Srila Prabhupada says that there are two classes of men. One is termed as learned or vidwan, right? And the other would be not learned or foolish or ignorant. So Srila Prabhupada says that compared to animals, human beings are a species are very intelligent compared to animals, right? So we know there are 84 lakh species, 8.4 million species, and there are 4 lakh species of humans. So amongst these human species, it can be said that there some can be categorized or termed as more intelligent, whereas some can be classed as less intelligent. And so it is in the matter of considering gross activities when it comes to eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, intelligence is equal in animals and in human beings. That is, it doesn't require any education. They don't need to be trained as such in these 4 gross activities. Sri Prabhupada gives example that even the dog knows how to use sex life. It doesn't require a learn some very high-fi fruits philosophy or some other scholarly philosophy. They just know. So those are gross activities. So humans have to work, whereas humans have to work to produce food grains. So there's some sophistication here, and they can eat sumptuously to their heart's liking. But it doesn't require scientific slaughterhouses for bringing up big cows feeding them, so they're fat, and finally living in the city on the cost of the life of these poor animals. This is what the world has come to. Um, so this is misuse of this intelligence, human intelligence. Such activities are vikarma or sinful activities. So therefore, devotees who are actually intelligent, so they are spiritually intelligent, so they're intelligent and they're spiritually advanced. Um, so they should be a role model for others and show by example as or set the way how one's intelligence can be utilized or best utilized. So this shloka where it says that Shakta Karmani Avid Vamshaha. So Avid Vamsha, the ignorant, the fools, men with poor fund of knowledge, they have discovered so many lines of activities. So this is just foolishness. This is so-called modern civilization, so-called advancement of civilization is planned by these Avid Vamsha, these ignorant people. Um, so here it means Shaktahak being attached karmani in prescribed duties. So these ignorant people do not believe, they avoid the major issue. And being materially attached, they are making material plans in this life that they will live for so and so long, 50 years, 60 years, and thus whatever sophistication required for sense gratification, they discover new methods for material sense engagement. And this is what they call advancement of civilization. So these Avid Vamsha, ignorant people, they do not know how to engage brain and talent. So this is the difference between a Devata and an Asura, right? So Asura, the demoniac people, they don't know. Asura thinks that he or she will live forever, and for that he's always busy preparing big plans for material comforts. This is all Asuric civilization, and this is right now it's Kali Yuga, and this is where we are progressing at a very high rate, high speed. So he will not be allowed to stay here, Dukhalyam Ashashvatam. So this is by design, by Maya's illusory potency. Um, Everybody's under the effect of three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And so this place, world of Maya, will always give miseries, right? So we know that miseries, um, and it is the place for suffering. So there is Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik. We know that there is hunger, thirst, there is birth, death, old age, and disease, all these. So it is a place of suffering so that we can come to factual understanding and realize our position, our constitutional position, that we are servants of the Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna. Um, but these ignorant foolish, they do not take the suffering into consideration. They're completely ignorant about it. So Srila Jayapataka Maharaj gives so many examples of this habudubu, where it's like you are being submerged or pushed into water, and that is very miserable, and then you are immediately pulled out, and this goes on again and again for like ever till one comes to one's actual senses and realizes the constitutional position and starts progressing in that direction. So without realizing, they are making plans for making for more suffering. So so it's just like the stakes get higher. Even if you are rich or poor, you will still be undergoing these bodily sufferings. It's just that you will have makeshift plan or a temporary comfort to soothe you, and then again you will be submerged into this suffering. So this is going on. So this is all foolish civilization. And the definition of advancement as per the so-called scientists, material scientists, is nothing but jugglery of words. Any intelligent person can ask, what kind of solution you have made for this problem of birth, death, old age, and disease? They have been unable to solve this problem. Therefore, it is duty of the intelligent person to show the way of living. They should be the beacon of light. They should be the beacon of light. They should show the path to these ignorant people who are just in the darkness of illusory potency. So A learned person, they'll do that. They'll not shy away from that effort. But asakta, they'll be doing those activities, that work without attachment. Um, so in some cases, it might seem like they are acting like the ignorant person who is too much attached to material activities. But one is engaged in such activities for the satisfaction. So there is one class of people, ignorant, who are attached to such, engaged in such activities for the satisfaction of their own senses, their own sense gratification, where the other, the learned, the devotees, is engaged for the satisfaction of Krishna. So kuryat vidvams tatha saktaha. The ignorant karmis will invent new nonsensical activities in the name of advancement of civilization, because they are attached to material activities for sense gratification. But one who is vidvan, who is learned, will act or do work without attachment. Why? Chikshu loka sangraham. Chikshuhu, desiring to lead. Loka sangraham, the people in general. So these people, the ignorant people in general, they need to be guided. And who can do that best? One who is learned, the devotees, so that others may follow that path, their lead. Why you are making big plan for these big factories? Srila Prabhupada always often questions this. You can take this simple yet effective process and your economic problem is solved. Krishna advises, he is mentioned in Bhagavad-gītā, it will come later, and in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Bhagavad-gītā 18.44, Krishi go rakshya vanijyam vaishya karma swabhavajam. So it is the nature or duty of Vaishyas. What is that? Cow protection, agriculture, trade. So these simple activities, there is no need for these so-called material industries, anarthas. So just like we mentioned earlier, these butcheries, these slaughterhouses have come up. This is not required. So, to in an attempt to grow foodstuff, if there is this ample amount left for after we take it, after we consume what is necessary for ourselves, if there's still some left, and that excess, that can be traded with others who have other stuff or items in surplus. They can exchange that, and this is trade. So there is exchange of goods here, and that is trade. So this Varna Ashrama system, we know that there are four societal classes of men, and there are four stages of life, progression of life. There is societal classes like Brahma, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So there is one class which takes care of spiritual, intellectual needs, and then others takes care of political and administrative. And then there's third Vaishya, which takes care of economic or trade activities. And there is manual service aspects which is taken care by Shudras. So this is what is recommended by Krishna, and because we are Krishna conscious, we must abide by the orders of Krishna. Vaishya community class of men attends to the economic development. So the first category is Brahmana, the man in knowledge. He knows what is the value of life, how life should be directed. They know themselves and they give guidance to the other classes who don't have such knowledge. And therefore, Brahmana is the guru of all other classes of men, such as Kshatriyas, Vaishyas. So if one's position is that of a Brahmana and is anasakta, without any attachment. So without any attachment, one should try to give others the direction how one can live very peacefully and save time for Krishna consciousness and progress. That is what Krishna wants. That is stated here in the shloka. So the idea is how to direct common men to live peacefully and become Krishna consciousness and practice Krishna consciousness. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that if one is serious about going back home, back to Godhead, he must consider the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Samam Bonam, the chief aim of life. So Lord Krishna is the chief aim of life, and to serve him, to please him, is our chief aim. So if one is a father or instructing his sons, or a spiritual master instructing his disciples, or a king instructing his citizens, he must instruct them as Lord Krishna has advised. That is what Lord is saying. Without being angry, he should continue giving instructions. Even if his disciple, son, or citizen is sometimes unable to follow his order, that must go on. Instructions should go on. One will slowly and gradually come to one's actual senses. Purification will happen. So ignorant people who engage in pious activities and impious activities should be engaged in development, devotional service by all means. So this is what Lord Krishna is saying. They should always avoid fruity activity. Krishna is saying here, Srimad Bhagavatam. If one puts into the bondage of karmic activity his disciple, son, or citizen who is bereft of transcendental vision, how will one profit? So this is like, so it is like leading, Lord Krishna is saying that it is like leading a blind man to a dark well and causing him to fall in. So Krishna consciousness, the devotional path is the best. But one cannot be forced into looking at the stage we are in Kali Yuga. One cannot be forced, or one cannot be expected of a gradual, or a rapid transition. It will take time. It will happen with purification, slowly and steady. People in general are ignorant and addicted to fruitive activities. So, example is like child playing with dirt, and you engage him in playing with a toy. So he leaves dirt and he takes to toy, but it doesn't stop there. He needs to be guided to the next level. So you simply can't snatch dirt from him and he will leave everything and he'll not do anything. He'll just continue to cry. And later, a toy from him, you cannot just give him, once he's playing with dirt and you give him a toy, he leaves dirt, he takes toy. And then you cannot just snatch toy from him and tell him, okay, this is the next level. Slowly the transition. So you're kind of, it's happening in a piecemeal basis. So transition will be step by step and it is gradual progression. So without disturbing their minds, the karma yogi can benefit them by explaining the truth about man's eternal position as Lord Krishna's servant. So in so this is what Lord Krishna instructs in this shloka. So as not to disturb the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. So rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. So it is very difficult to convince those who adhere to fruitive activities that they should render devotion service to Lord Krishna. The reason is that most fruitive workers are foolish, fallen, and impious. So being in that stage, under the grip of such a strong grip of Maya, you cannot expect them to just abandon that and take to devotion service immediately. So somebody needs to guide them. So for example, butchery, we know that now in modern world, there are so many butchery, meat shops and liquor shops in prominent malls next to general convenience stores, grocery stores, in the market. People are hurting cows, polluting the holy rivers, etc. And so many faults. They find the existence of God. They just ignore Paramatma or God. And in complete ignorance, they'll be judged for their acts or vikarma, sinful activities. So the level has degraded to just sense gratification, and for that, making more and more money through wrong means. So this is what is happening. So, so learned understanding what is the best process, slowly and steady, should bring them to this path of devotion service. So they are totally in the grip of illusory potency Maya, and so they imagine themselves to be the Supreme Lord themselves. So some of them consider, we have heard so many cases where so many people who took to path of preaching, um, and later they defy and they themselves proclaim to be gods. So that is completely wrong. That is very wrong, and for that they will be. So that's like a final snare of Maya. So that's like a very degraded condition. So Srila Prabhupada gives example of Shishupala. Um, so that his acts were very demoniac, and he was very envious of Lord Krishna. So they simply try to enjoy this material world in various ways. In fact, their hopes for enjoying this material world are just make believe or Maya, and this make believe yearning leaves them hopelessly cheated. Yet they cannot give up the hope of to enjoy. And when they realize that fruitive activities are futile and are more or less forced to renounce them, then such renunciation becomes merely another illusory scheme for a great enjoyment. Um, so all should be guided onto the path of Krishna consciousness towards spiritual realization, and they should not be asked to refrain from work, but solution should be according to one's capacity to understand and their capacity to understand and their interest, and dosage should be in piecemeal basis. Transition and transformation will be gradual and not drastic or rapid. So the learned, the Vaishnavas, the devotees, they will understand, they will know that, and they'll reciprocate or guide them accordingly. So Prabhupada gives example of Srila Haridas Thakura. So Haridas Thakura, we know that is Namacharya. He is role model for chanting, and Haridasa was always chanting in a secluded place. So Srila Prabhupada emphasizes here as a secluded place. Now, if somebody who, without being elevated to such a high position, imitates, or because oh, Srila Haridas Thakura chanted, let me also sit down in a solitary place and chant. He cannot do that. It is not possible for him. He will simply imitate, and he will end up doing all nonsensical activities and arthas, and he will not make progress, rather he will fall. So we cannot imitate Haridas Thakura. That is a completely different position. If one is elevated to that position, Srila Prabhupada says that that's a completely different thing. But generally, people in general, that is not meant for ordinary people. So therefore, everybody should be engaged in his own work, occupational duty, and by fruitive result of his work, he should serve Krishna. That should be the motto of life. So, as of now, this is where we are in this chapter. Lord Krishna, as Arjuna continues to ask more questions and he gets advanced, Lord Krishna will tell him better and better options when it comes to Bhakti Yoga. So, so for now, one should continue to work, and learned people should guide them, and because they are the role models, and they should set the example, and the transformation of these karmic people will happen, not rapid but gradually. So Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Mataji, thanks for joining. Please continue to join tomorrow for next shloka and chanting. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. Danvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Danvat Pranam
Hare
to
Krishna,
everybody
Mataji.
assembled. Danvat.
Hare Krishna.